Hi, I'm Tom. This is AC On, the short Alpha Clash podcast where I talk all things Alpha Clash, usually on my way to work. But today I am working from home, so it's a little noisy. So I want to talk about the last episode of Through the Portal. They started a new setup for it, and where Rich and Garrett are talking. It's a much more regular thing, or at least it's a much more often thing. I don't think it's more regular though. But they had an interesting topic. The last episode came out this week, and last week, and I wanted to touch on that. So the point of the discussion was how event cards would move forward. Being not just part of the big tournaments, the national level tournaments, but also move on to more support for local game stores. Now, that in and of itself is a very, very cool idea, a very, very cool way to support game stores. The idea being, if you haven't seen it, of course, that local game stores can hold tournaments, and those tournaments, awakening tournaments, and for those, if they register those, they can get a hold of a pack of these event cards, being special cards for the event. We saw them in Clash Grounds, and we're going to see them at the Progenitor's Gambit as well. We know that. Those cards, by the way, are unique to those locations. To those events. So the only way to get an event card from, Clash Grounds per se, is to be, was to be a Clash Grounds per se. There isn't a follow-up print or something like that. That's the only way to get it, or you have to buy it second hand. But they want to do something similar for game stores, sort of a fun twist on it. And the fact that it's a fun twist on it is what I think is really interesting. What they touched on is that when they started making this, when they started making the trading card game, you sort of looked to and heard from others saying, oh, if you're doing a trading card game, you have to do this, or you have to do that, and you have to do what these guys are doing, because that's the way to go for doing XYZ when you have a trading card game. And what they sort of realised now, the team has started to grow and having some success, what they realised is that is not their way of doing things. They don't want to be doing that. They don't want to be doing what everybody else been doing. I think that is a cornerstone for growing as a game. A while back, I saw a Kodak video about trading card game, how everything, quote unquote, was a Duel Masters clone. How everyone was doing the same as everyone else. And he was talking about gameplay-wise, and in that respect, Alpha Clash is not a hard game to pick up if you played other trading card games. In fact, I think someone called it a comfort food for TCG players, which I think is both correct and an encouragement for people to pick it up. You can easily pick it up and play it, even if it's just for fun. But what they need to do to set themselves apart is doing something that is specific to the way we think about the game. So, if we think about Magic, 10 years back, we might have thought about Friday Night Magic as being the big thing, and now we're more or less thinking of Commander as the the way we think about Magic, and maybe also a horribly, horribly expensive product coming out in a tremendous stream of noise. But that's more of my opinion on Magic, which is why I stopped playing it for years ago. But when you think about a card game, you sort of tend to think about formats or gameplays or something like that, and you need to set yourself apart. You need to be a little bit different. So, for example, every card game has to have a multiplayer casual format because Magic has Commander. And I'm not saying that that playing Gambit, the multiplayer format for Alpha Clash, is not relevant and fun and interesting. I'm just saying it doesn't set them apart from all the other games. It's sort of like, well, everybody else has this, then we have to have this. What they're doing now is they're coming up with ideas and products, but not just now, but what they talked about here was that they want to come up with ideas and products and twists that are uniquely them, sort of doing things their own way, not just wanting to do what everybody else is doing, what they're told that you should do as a trading card game. And one of these things are event cards for local game stores. I will chat shortly on that, but I would highly, highly recommend going or watch that YouTube video for more information. Just get your LGS in contact with Rising Empire Studios on their support email and get that set up. Anywho, the point here is that event cards is something that we haven't seen anywhere else, and the event cards, therefore, because that was their suggestion in the podcast and the video, that they could do this because they were law driven and they could sort of have this unique chance of putting the clash local to where the players were, sort of leaning into the story, leaning into the law, and make things happen that way. So whenever you get one of these cards, event cards or any other, it sort of tells a story back into the story. One of the examples they came with here was one of the event cards that you can get as a local game store, and there was a few cool things about it. One is that there are two types of event cards, if you call that. One is if I remember correctly, and I didn't write this down, one is a participant for the Awakening, right? So one is a participant promo card, and one is an event card, meaning a card that it can be played or is intended for play at that event. Both of these, there is I should mention, there is a gold version of as a price support, right? They're very good at price support. I'm going to get back to that. But the point here is that there are two versions, and both of these cards, both the participant promo and the event card itself, has the logo, the name of the local game store it's in on the card. So when you plan these Awakenings, you can get in touch with Rising Empire Studios and you can get event cards specifically to your local game store. That's just the thing that, because they are an indie trading card game, because they are an indie studio, they can do this sort of thing. They can tailor it to their fan base, to their local game store base, which I think is brilliant. It's such a low bar, really, that you might wonder why the big ones haven't done that. But they can do it, and they are doing it. I think that is so cool, having that support and tying it back into that the way of playing games. Now, another thing that they're doing, and then now I haven't seen anyone else do, is these rivalry kits. I made a video where I opened Rivalry Kit 1, the first one ever. Again, it's a complete box that just supports the local game store, support the player community. And I think that having that level of support, and now doing a twist where they can be different than the big companies, is so important for growing this. And also, it's just a good story for the rest of us to tell, that if you're doing Awakening at a store, which is only second to Rivalry Pursuits, the really casual rivalry kits, Awakenings is the lowest tier of competitive play. Almost not competitive, but it's the lowest tier of competitive play you can do. And even there is price support. Even there is a sort of a help and a feeling that they want you to have this at your game store. Just imagine if Wizards were giving out any sort of support for Friday Night Magic at any game store that wanted it, even if it's just to a year, right? We couldn't imagine that, but they are doing it at Rising Empire Studio. They are supporting all the way to the local stores. Then, never mind that there are going to be bumps on the way, I'm sure, but the level of engagement, the level of commitment is what really, it sort of spellbinds me, right? I think that is some of the thing. Besides the game being good, the creators of the game are being good as a whole. Oh, and not to forget, there is, speaking of doing things a little bit different, there is our PvE coming out later this year. I'm going to say July. I can't remember the month or the dates. There's a PvE where you can play this cooperatively coming out. They announced that back in December at ClashCon, and they've kept talking about it, so it's not going to go away. I think that is... I don't know how they do this, but that's just mind-boggling that they can make all of that stuff. But that is coming too. Something a little bit different. I've seen some sort of fan-based versions of player versus environment for Pokemon. I know Disney Lorcana came out. That's the only reason I'm opening Lorcana, because the game itself is, I think it's okay, but it's not a big thing for me. But that player versus environment makes it possible for me to play Lorcana. And now when the PvE comes out for Alpha Clash, I can play that even out of sync with my playgroups. I think that is a brilliant move, and again, something a little bit different, right? So giving us more options than other games. I think that is brilliant. Anyway, I just want to say that I think they're doing an amazing job, and I'm really happy that they've decided over the last half a year to start really doing their own thing, not looking what others are doing and just copy pasting that, or doing what people tell them they should do, but thinking out of the box and making their own solution. They're a good game with a good support. That is. I was about to say it's Alpha Omega, but that's sort of the logo of it, right? So that is super important. So anyway, that was almost all I want to say. Go find your local game store. Have them set up on a Making event. If you're in Europe, let me know about that. I'm really, really interested to seeing how this game grows in Europe. And until next time, I'll talk to you then. Bye.